parking brake is located down there.
Breaking news tonight, police in pursuit of a driver they say is driving a stolen car.
Desmond Shaw live in Skycal tonight with the details for us. Desmond, what's happening here?
Susie and Chauncey, we are on the westbound side of the 10
Let me pause this video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it.
It looks like maybe CHP that is taken over on this one, this allegedly stolen Toyota Tacoma, we believe it to be. Looks like they have their hazards on. Just before we went to air, we noticed a spike strip attempt by CHP. You can see a pretty slow speed pursuit as far as things go here. We've only been looking at speeds between 35 and 45 miles an hour, and so it looked like they were taking that opportunity to attempt to do a spike strip. You know what? It looks like this is actually still Fontana PD there, but the spike strip attempt was by CHP at the on-ramp there, westbound 10. I believe that was at Santa Anita. So we are now barreling toward, well, not barreling, we're kind of just cruising, I would say, towards downtown Los Angeles, westbound on the 10 here with this Toyota Tacoma pickup truck and authorities in tow. Chauncey and Susie.
So, Desmond, did the the driver veer around that spike strip, as far as you know?
They did, and yeah, and I think, you know, that they were clearly paying attention, and because they were going so slow, you know, I think they got a little bit of a warning there. They were able to see it and get around it pretty easily. So this is also kind of turning into a little bit of a traffic kerfuffle for people, as well as the authorities are kind of running that extended traffic break that you saw earlier in our shot there. So that's going to be another issue for people that are out here right now. And it's not clear if there's anything else going on here as far as how this vehicle was taken. Was this a carjacking? Was this a vehicle where the engine was left running as someone ran into a liquor store or something like that? We're not privy to that information at this point. They also haven't said how many people are inside the vehicle. So we'll see if we get any of that information right now. And we'll see if there's another spike strip attempt here with these slow speeds. It can certainly open up that opportunity for CHP, but they did already dodge at least one of those attempts.
All right, Desmond, and we are getting information that this did start as a carjacking. We want to flip it over here to the desk, and Mike, you have this information on how this all started.
Right, and we're listening to the radio traffic right now. This is, as Desmond mentioned, this is still Fontana PD. Fontana PD not interested in giving it up to CHP. CHP has asked them if they want to take it over, and Fontana PD says, nope, we want to hang on to this one. And it did, yeah, Chauncey, as you mentioned, come out as what's called a 215 vehicle. That's the penal code in California for a carjacking. That's what this is a carjacking. Now, was it by force? Was it with a weapon? That's still all unclear. We had heard some initial traffic that there possibly was a gun in the car. We don't know if that gun was used in the commission of the alleged carjacking, but it was something that they were making officers aware of, that there could possibly be a handgun inside. But again, Fontana PD does not want CHP to take this over. They do want their help, as Desmond mentioned, with the spike strips. They're calling for another one right now, kind of as we talk about this. But Fontana PD very interested in keeping this. Fontana PD's helicopter is over this as well. And for a time, you had Fontana PD, the sheriffs, and CHP helicopters all over this. So 3 law enforcement helicopters. This person obviously not going to evade any of them. But yeah, Fontana is hanging on to this one, but they do want CHP's help with some spike strips.
Yeah, for whatever reason that might be, right, Mike? I mean, oftentimes agencies won't relinquish pursuits for ABC reasons, right?
Right, you know, especially when we get into these, not that Fontana's a small city, but when we get into these kind of smaller jurisdictions, sometimes they like to hang on to them, especially if the crime or the alleged crime happened in their city. So this kind of leads me to believe that this was something that happened in their city. Maybe it was witnessed, but usually these agencies, if it's just something where they run a plate and the car comes back stolen or a carjacked vehicle out of a different city, they'll chase it till it gets to the freeway and hand it off because it's not their caper, right? But the fact that they're staying with it now all the way until we're coming into Rosemead, Monterey Park, leads me to believe that this is probably Fontana's case originally, and they want to stick with it.
And I want to go back up to Desmond Shaw and Skycal. Desmond, explain how this driver was able to skirt around those spike strips by CHP.
Well, you know, the officer threw the spike strip out there, and I think just because this person's going so slowly, they kind of had more than a split second to see that spike strip in front of them. It happened pretty quickly. Maybe, you know, the officer might have unfurled it a little bit too quickly. It's a very, very obviously a very tough operation to do. Officers that throw the spike strips out there, they have to do it perfectly, and they have to make sure that they not only time it perfectly, but that it travels the distance. What's kind of complicating things is that this suspect is staying in the middle of the freeway, so that's more distance that spike strip has to travel across. The officer might kind of have to put themselves in danger and walk out into one of the lanes to be able to get it out there in front of them. So that it's pretty difficult, even at these slower speeds. That's typically the only time that we see spike strip attempts is when we see these slower speeds or really, really light traffic conditions. I mean, we're almost on the edge of pit maneuver territory if they wanted to with this open freeway and the slower speeds. We'll see if they want to get that aggressive on this one. But, like Mike was saying, some of these smaller agencies, especially in the Inland Empire, they will take it as far as they need to if they're, really willing to commit to it. And this is not the first time that we've seen Fontana PD follow an allegedly stolen vehicle far to the west. We'll just see how far west or north or south, perhaps, just how far this one goes.
Yeah, and as Desmond was talking about a possible pit maneuver, it is possible on the freeway, though it is very rare that we have seen one. But
oh yeah, you can do it on the freeway at slow speed.
Do they actually?
Since he's not picking up speed,
they're ready to go at any time with any other vehicles to do a pit maneuver. But other smaller agencies, as we were talking about with Mike at the desk, they may not be equipped with the actual vehicle to do a pit maneuver. And then it begs the question: will the CHP then jump in again and help them along the way as they were with the spike strip? Also with the pit maneuver, them possibly being armed, if that is the case, if this was a carjacking and there is a gun inside this car, that certainly increases the security level, the dangerous level for officers who are willing or wanting to do this pit maneuver, right, Mike?
Yeah, there are several agencies that won't.
Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Okay, stop.
Suspects, I think they're just, I don't know, the way they're going, this is kind of looking like one of those ones where they're just trying to drag it out as long as they can possibly give this one to go, not making any real serious attempt to get away from the authorities. I mean, we're not even close to the speed limit here. A lot of times we'll see suspects with the super crazy driving, even driving like in reverse, like we saw the other night with that stolen vehicle pursuit. So we do know that there is only the driver in the car. That's now what's being broadcast there over the radios. So we'll just see if another spike strip attempt is in the offing. And even if they do manage to land that spike strip, that's not necessarily going to end this pursuit immediately. We've seen so many pursuits go on for a long time after the tires have been spiked. Remarkably long how well some of these vehicles can hold up. And by the way, this is a Toyota pickup truck, one of the most reliable vehicles on earth. And, we have certainly seen some of these go the distance even after they lose their tires.
True that we have seen that. I mean, we have seen pursuits go on metal. I mean, just, sparks flying out of the, what's left of the tire, if you can even say that. But as you can see here, pursuit continues as we go under this overpass here on the freeway, on the 10 freeway, still going west. Yes, that's right. We're going west right now. Mike has something to add.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're finally in a definitely pit-approved speed range here, and they appear to be actively choosing to not do that. These would be the perfect conditions of that. We dip down to the 20s. Even, right now we're at 23, 25 miles an hour. There is nobody around him on the freeway. There is no reason not to from a situational standpoint. So obviously it seems like they have made that decision that that's not something they want to do because we are in perfect territory to do that right now.
Which, Mike, that could go back to what we were talking about earlier with this possible gun that this suspect might have.
Right. Again, they don't want to flip him around. And again, we don't know the nature of the crime, right? We don't know how violent this carjacking was. They're obviously privy to a ton more information than we are. We know the official want this carjacking, but what happened during the course of that carjacking? Do they know who this person is? Do they have a lengthy violent record? Those are all things that is being considered by the sergeant or the lieutenant calling the shots here for Fontana PD.
That's right. And as far as we know, one person inside this Toyota Tacoma pickup truck tonight that was, we believe, stolen in the Fontana area. As far as we know, this started in the Fontana area, and the Fontana Police Department is still in pursuit tonight, not relinquishing it to the CHP, although the CHP is lending a hand. Desmond, did you see something, another spike strip?
There may have been a spike strip underneath the freeway there, because I just noticed the suspect kind of swerved at the left.
For those... Excuse me. For those of you who are tuning in, thanks for joining us on my live streaming. This is a pursuit of that stolen pickup truck. The Fontana PD is in pursuit of that red truck, driving slow, still speeding up at 50 miles an hour, back and forth again and again. The Fontana PD decided to stay with this truck, stay in pursuit, still driving at 46 miles an hour. And I can tell you, he did a spike strip just a few minutes ago. He did again 2 times now. The second time he done it again right now, today, 2 times now. This is where he was driving slow at 40 to 55 miles an hour. Yep. On the freeway, back and forth, and again, crossing underneath the bridge. The pit was approved. You could do that on the freeway that I said just a moment ago. We could tell you right now that the suspect he might have a gun. We could say that he might have a gun at this point. He did avoid it again. What started with a carjacking, we don't know what started, what transpired to this in that other area that they pick up the pursuit. This pursuit went all the way, got on the westbound 10 freeway, and we might know why he's running. I don't think we might know he's running. I said he was skirting that second spike strip. The second time, it could have started as a carjacking. The Fontana Police Department behind this suspect, armed with a gun, still waiting about the official word about what happened. They seemed at times with that truck. It was going faster, like in Anaheim, California to Orange County, California. There was a shots fired in the motel where the person was shot, and as we seen and heard on the dash cam video, and the driver took off in his white Chevy Silverado. That the suspect was on the run from the police for about 45 minutes, and it happened over a year ago on April 16th, 2025, and we know why. He was armed with a gun, picking up speeds at 80 miles an hour, that picks up speeds at 52 miles an hour. He thought he was going to get caught, and then at 58 miles an hour, this pursuit continues on to the 57 freeway, 91 freeway to 57 freeway to 91 freeway, avoided a spike strip several times, broken record, like I used to do that over and over. Been on State College Boulevard so many times that day. It was over a year ago that he was stopped by traffic, and they tried to do a pit maneuver on the suspect. They tried to ram him off the road, smash him onto the sidewalk off of that road, and he keeps going, still running on left rear, left front, left sides 2 tires that was flat. They could have put out spike strips. He was going to keep going, and no shots were fired. They carjacked the victim at the gas pump at gunpoint. The victim had called 911. They got the license plate into the system, and Fontana police officer spotted that truck. He did carjack that victim. That's the victim's truck. That belongs to that victim. That the victim was in the red truck earlier on. He carjacked it at the gas pump station. And I can tell you, transitioning onto northbound 101 freeway. Before I get back to that, the suspect keeps revving the engine. They did a pit maneuver. It was finally successful, and it came to an end. Anaheim PD did a shots fired. They did a shots fired at that truck. The first person, the driver, was dead. The second person complied. This was a standoff investigation. The streets were closed. And I can tell you, moments after that, the next morning, it's still closed. The street was closed. They have the news crews, news media agencies pulled to that scene and reported live on TV that what had transpired this, that they were talking about. Anyway, let's concentrate on that. An armed violent crime that this suspect is running, still at 30 miles an hour, and inching closer to downtown LA. And this could be a dangerous situation. That car pulling over, 3 cars pulling over, helping a friend out. They're not involved in that. Only the police are involved of that pursuit. This could be a dangerous situation. That was the suspect explains. That explains why are they hesitating to do a pit maneuver on the freeway. That's a good idea. You could do that. The Fontana is sticking with this truck. Only they could have is the LAPD and the Fontana PD to come and get involved with this suspect that's on the run. Now they're getting into downtown LA as they are going to be, and he might hit some traffic on the 110 freeway, and it might hit the LAX's airspace like it did almost a year ago, last year. Like, we made a video last night, and we might know they have to come on the left. They have to dart left to cut off the traffic that was merging on the section of the roadway. They had making sure they have no innocent people. No one's involved. Nobody's being a hero. Nobody's trying to get involved and be a good Samaritan unless there are 2 truckers. If there were 2 truckers helping somebody with the pursuit, they might put an end to this. And then zooming back on these speeds, only 30 to 40 miles an hour, I could tell you, actually, we might, if they hit back up as they approach the 110 freeway in the interchange, if the suspect wanted to transition to the 110, he might stay on the northbound 101 freeway. And now it looks like bearing any last second maneuver, they're on their way to Hollywood right now, northbound on the 101 freeway. And underhead, doesn't look like the suspect will give this they're not going to give this suspect any trouble. You have to wonder where they're going to do. They have a plan or a destination to stop and ditch the vehicle. I can tell you, driving slow at 25 miles an hour. They want to get away with a friend. Thank goodness he's not getting away. He wants to drive slow. What they're going to do, they have no plan. Sometimes they go to a familiar place, especially when they start crossing continue counties. When they get this far, where it all started, and now the police had to stop these commuters from merging on. I know they want to get somewhere, get to their destination safe. Bork and traffic control, they're well behind that car. They're running a traffic brake, and the CHP is back up. I can tell you right now, surprisingly, you have seen this before, where people try to pass the pursuit, but not gonna happen. So they had to. Okay, they started at 7:15 p.m. in the Fontana area. The owner of that red truck was pumping at the gas station, tried to carjack that victim's truck, and then no gunshots were fired. And now dares him to get out of the car was the suspect, pumping gas in the truck, doing his own thing. And you know what, the suspect did take he did take that victim's he took the victim's truck, and then he stole a truck from the driver of that victim. The victim of that driver called 911, and the police had read his license plate. They run the license plate of that truck that belongs to that victim, and he does this. This is why you gotta keep your doors locked. Don't leave it unlocked, because someone might carjack your vehicle. Because this chase happened on since 7:15 that evening. The Fontana Police Helicopter Eagle 1 still overhead. They're overhead in this Hollywood area, northbound 101 freeway. And I can tell you, that's why you don't need to get involved. Let the police units handle it, because this is what has been gone on since that evening. And I can tell you, he keeps going and going slow, they're gonna have to do spike strips, or have the canine and make sure the suspect stops the truck. And it belongs to that vehicle. Before they ran out of gas, it happened at the gas station. We don't know if the person filled up all of the way before they were carjacked, and it's the suspect that he stole the truck. If they're just joining us on my live streaming, this is the breaking news skit of that stolen pickup truck. They're in Fontana police in pursuit of that on the 101 freeway northbound in the Westlake, with Fontana Police Department, chopper overhead, with CHP assisting. They saw a couple of spike strip attempts. There were a few, but they did not make contact. And it's been an hour now. I think this has been going on for about 20 minutes since the police started his chase. He carjacked the victim's truck, took it away from the victim, and the victim called 911. The victim was pumping the gas, and then this suspect carjacked that truck. And then he's high speeds here a little bit at 40 miles an hour to show that vantage point that they may be running. As they inch closer to the downtown area, they're past downtown. Now on the way in Hollywood soon, they'll run into some more traffic, into a great shot. The police helicopter of the Fontana PD doing a fantastic job. News helicopters, same thing, doing a great job. There's a amount of wind in San Fernando Valley and Dillon, we remember hoping this pursuit would come to an end. It will not head up to there. They're sticking with it. Northbound 101 freeway, no traffic to speak, so to speak, as we speak. And of that processing of the identities, CHP holding traffic back, and unfortunate people, they are following the law. And now that truck had stopped there. Wow. Going at 30 miles an hour. And now what is he doing? Running a traffic brake. Now CHP holding all of the lanes, backing the traffic up for everyone. Leaving downtown LA, coming out of downtown, that will continue as long as the person continues to disobey the police, then drag this how much as they want for several hours. Come on, this is crazy. This is so little bizarre, a bit. Changes to the freeway, all just sticking to this lane, leading to them northbound on 170 freeway they're going to head towards the 5 freeway. Let's see, they'll lead them in the next transition. They have to wonder if they will take this to Central Valley, take this all the way to Mexican border, or they have to call off the pursuit. Hey, you're no longer being chased. You're in Mexico now. You can do whatever you want, and then if some suspects wants to leave the Mexico area, the cops will pick up the pursuit back to where it all started. And after 7 o'clock to 7:15, somebody was carjacked. The person is alone. 6 units behind that car. Are you crazy? He committed a crime in their city. A lot of times we've seen that with these semi-smaller agencies. You know, they don't see this where they don't give it up. They don't want to stop. They keep going. Sometimes they go at 95 miles an hour to cruise along at a high rate of speeds during an hour-long pursuit. I think that's a lot. The tires, 4-wheel tires, seem to be okay. And if they're concerned, if they hand it off, maybe the other agency will not be as aggressive. They'll be driving slow, and they're going to continue with this. CHP, stopping traffic, once again, another CHP. So this pursuit has been going on for about 20 to 25 minutes. It started in the gas station in the Fontana area. The carjack had carjacked the victim, wanted for carjacking, pointed a gun. No shots were fired. He didn't shoot the victim. He was about to shoot the victim and kill him and leave him dead. Thank goodness the victim had called the police. And the police were underway to the scene of that stolen pickup truck before they jumped overhead. And I can tell you, they're still following it. for a long period of time because of the actions that they have caused. The suspect had caused. They have a great working spike strips. They're going to do it again in the next several hours. They're banking on hoping CHP is not doing other things to be messing around. They take this so serious. They take it so seriously, saying negative on the spikes that they heard from the dispatch. They don't have anyone to do spikes right now. They're relying on CHP to have other things in Southern California and all across the states. Carjacking, bank robberies, home invasion. We name it. We name it. As seen on police helicopters, dash cams, and on national TV with the news helicopters to broadcast it live when so many helicopter reporters, along with the pilots and the camera crews, they would announce it and they make announcements, make notes in their own dots, in their own head of the pursuit going on. Yeah, they're getting behind those officers to make sure that they're not involved in this pursuit, not trying to lend a helping hand. They've stayed back. The police are taking care of it, handling it. And this freeway speeds plus, the suspect could pick up speed at any chance if he has a 50-50 chance. If he wants to drive slow, that's okay, that's fine. They'll do another spike strip. They'll do a pit maneuver to turn this car. But in that case, the person, they know that it was a seriously fresh armed carjacking, and then said to that victim, "Give me your car, give me your truck." That's stealing. He could face possibility several years of carjacking. And I know from how far the gas station was from the freeway, under 2 miles. All the driver had to do was get onto Citrus Drive and straight south for 2-3 miles whatsoever for any reasons. Let's listen now. Let's watch and listen.
Police got on the suspect's tracks pretty fast from that gas station.
Right, yeah, especially considering it's only 2 miles. I mean, that's not, if the person's driving this slow the whole time, it gave them a little bit more time. But yeah, only 2 miles from the freeway. And let me just look and see how far within the city of Fontana. It's kind of in the middle of Fontana, but kudos to those officers for getting towards the gas station pretty quickly to be able to find this car.
Let's go back upstairs to Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal. We are in the Hollywood Hills area now, right, Desmond?
Yep, Susie and Chauncey, we are leaving Hollywood now. This is the end of the Highland on-ramp there, where it comes up on the left end of the freeway, one of the busiest ramps in Los Angeles. I'm sure we've all experienced that wonderful ramp many times at rush hour. And so, it is CHP that is in the back right now that is running the traffic brake to hold everyone back from that. It's just kind of crazy as someone who has logged many tens of thousands of miles in LA. The difference between 5 seconds time could be the difference between losing a half hour or more of your life. The people that you just saw that zoomed ahead of this to get ahead of this suspect are now going to get to wherever they're trying to get to in a reasonable amount of time. Whereas the folks that yielded now, they are going to be stuck in this nasty little backup behind the suspect, depending on where they decide to go from here. We will be coming up to the Hollywood split soon, where they can continue for onto the 170 north or transition to the Ventura Freeway section of the 101, northbound 101. Sometimes we call it the westbound 101 to differentiate the two as we head through the San Fernando Valley. So we will see it. Looked like I saw a little bit of debris kicking up back there. I think the suspect might have hit some minor debris there in the roadway. I was just stopping to see what that was, but it didn't look like it was anything major. And so now we are officially in the San Fernando Valley. Fortunately for us, the wind hasn't knocked us too bad. Hopefully that continues to be the case up here for SkyCal.
Yeah, this person obviously hasn't run out of gas yet, and they're going awfully slow. That could be helping as well. It's not going to be a gas guzzler for sure just because of that reason. And this person taking things slow on the freeway, and the Fontana Police Department right behind them, as Desmond was talking about, the CHP helping out tonight in various ways with running traffic brakes as well as putting down spike strips. And they're attempting to do that several times, but it looks like so far They have not been able to do so. And as they move along this freeway now on the 101 freeway, the 10 freeway before, the CHP, obviously, as Mike was saying, they have a job to do, and it's not specifically this one.
Right.
And spike strips might not be possible when the Fontana Police Department is asking for them right then.
Right, and the only good thing that, well, not the only, but one of the good things that Fontana has going for them is because of the ground that we've covered, we're continuously entering new CHP areas. So we've gone through Baldwin Park, we've gone through East LA, we've gone through downtown, and now, or the central CHP office, and now we're coming into the West Valley CHP office as we enter the San Fernando Valley. So Fontana is going to have a whole another set of CHP units that they can try to get to bring, knock on their door and say, hey, you want some, come play with some spike strips, to try to get this to come to an end. The other thing that I was looking at, Des, I think his hazard lights have been on the entire time that we've been looking at it, which is also kind of interesting to me as well.
Yes, you're right. Sometimes we see this really silly stuff with these pursuit suspects. If it's the hazards on the whole time or a turn signal or the wiper blades or whatever, that is, definitely the case. I'm kind of getting the impression that this person is just kind of zoning out right now, and this is, kind of what we might qualify as kind of a joyride pursuit, not to make too light of it because it was taken under serious circumstances. But, we've just got these low speeds with the driver just seems to kind of be zoning out, other than dodging a couple of spike strip attempts, not changing lanes, not doing anything crazy, not going 100 miles an hour, not zigging and zagging all over the place. I don't know that I've seen a single lane change during this entire pursuit other than to, try to evade those spike strips. So the center lane right here is going to take us to the northbound 101, I believe. Those two lanes to the left are what transition to the 170 section of the Hollywood Freeway, which would take us to the 5. So we're going to find out here very quickly if we're going to be headed northbound on the 170 or northwestbound on the 101.
And Desmond, I was just about to talk about the lane changes. It's a suspect, same lane, that middle lane, all the way through. Going back over to Mike now, historically, allegedly this was a very violent carjacking involving a gun with the owner of this car. The ones that I've covered here so far, only been here a few weeks, but it seems like when it's under those circumstances, the suspect normally drives a little faster and doing everything to get away from police, but it seems like this suspect is just kind of cruising the whole time.
I was going to mention that, Chauncey, you're right. Generally, a violent crime leads to a pretty wild chase.
Right.
It's not usually, give me your car, I've got a gun, and now I'm going to drive 40 miles an hour for an hour and a half. That's usually not the case when we cover these chases. So it does make you, we can never get into the mind of a pursuit suspect here and know why they're doing what they're doing, but it does make you even more curious that when they go to that length to commit, allegedly commit that kind of violent crime, their behavior during that crime doesn't really seem to match their behavior during this chase, which is different. And you know what? It looks like CHP may be done running those brakes, because now we're getting into that situation. You have that civilian car there to the right of the frame that looked like they were trying to inch up, right there on the top there, trying to inch up and get past the police cars, which is always just so curious to me why people do that. But, there you go. Now you got a CHP unit back there running it. And this is, again, as we're entering a different office for CHP. We're in their West Valley office now.
We are, a good 60-some miles away from Fontana, where this all started tonight. So not only the CHP officers who've been helping along the way from different agencies, or different jurisdictions, I should say, but from also the Fontana Police Department, who has not given this one up. They want to get this guy themselves. They have asked the CHP to run those traffic breaks. They've asked them to provide spike strips when they can, and we have seen several of those attempts that have not been successful, unfortunately. But this person has been driving at this rate, under 50 miles on the freeway for a while now, and I know a lot of people at home are going, just pit this guy, just push him from the back and make him turn around and stop this car, and let's just stop this chase. But really, officers, they have a very methodical operation when they do all this, and they're all in communication right now as to what they want to do next and what they're going to attempt and what they can and cannot. Obviously, with this guy armed and this person with a gun, certainly the limited options
Right.
of what we're talking
Well,
about.
and they're also going to weigh risk versus reward. We're going
Absolutely.
50 miles an hour on the freeway. CHP is doing a good job of controlling the traffic behind him. What is the benefit? I mean, risk versus reward of you pit him out and he's got that gun and something terrible happens. Or we sit here, we wait him out, we let him run out of gas, and we just let this thing kind of play out in a slower manner. If this person was driving at extremely high speeds, super endangering the public, not that this isn't doing that, but, weaving in and out of traffic, those kinds of things, then, that's when you might start to see the more aggressive moves to bring this to an end. But somebody who's driving 35 miles an hour with no traffic near them, why not? Why not let them and just let them run out of fuel and be done with this eventually?
Again, with a gun involved, that is
Right.
that careful, methodical operation that we're talking about, because it is so delicate when you think about a person who knows what kind of state of mind they're in right now, and with a gun, what they could possibly do to an officer.
And we talked about the police strategy too, Mike. You were explaining this. Whenever you put those spike strips down and the car hits it, it tends to turn that car around. And now you have the suspect facing those officers who is possibly armed with a gun.
Right, and again, if this is, sorry, I was listening to the radio real quick. Especially when you're talking about a situation that this is what they call a fresh crime, right? This isn't something that happened a couple days ago. They probably have no idea who this suspect is. They have no idea who this person is, and so they probably are not able to run any kind of background information on them. Do they know their history? Do they know if they've had violent tendencies before? When all of those are unknown, and as you mentioned, Chauncey, doing a pit maneuver would have that suspect facing the officers, they're gonna take their time and let this play out.
Absolutely. Well, this has been going on and playing out for more than an hour now. If you're just joining us here on KCAL News at 8, almost approaching the 9 o'clock hour for KCAL News at 9 with Pat Harvey and Juan Fernandez. But tonight we're talking about this stolen pickup truck pursuit, and this has been breaking news for the good part of an hour now. The Fontana Police Department in chase tonight, and they are not giving this one up. It all started with a carjacking in their city at Citrus and Merrill at a gas station around 7:15. A man who was pumping gas was carjacked by this person we believe is driving this car tonight, and they took off on the freeway, as Mike was saying, just about 2 miles off the freeway there from the gas station there, so it was not a difficult move for this person to get on the freeway. And we have been on the freeway this entire time. Usually, we see them exiting a few times, maybe on a surface street, just to ditch officers and maybe test them and see how much they can, get away with. But this person has been on the freeway, adamant about staying on the freeway, only changed once onto the 101 from the 10 freeway, and this is where we still are tonight. And in Sherman Oaks now, again, this all started, a good 60 plus miles away in the city of Fontana tonight.
We want to go back over to Mike Rogers. And Mike, once again, this all starting with that carjacking at the gas station and how police were able to get with this suspect and track him down pretty quick. You're talking about 2 miles away from that gas station.
Yeah, and look what, Des, what's happening on, just sorry, really quick, Chauncey, the east side of the south side of the 101 there is all jammed up too.
Yeah, it looked like there was a little fender bender there, and CHP was running a traffic brake to try to get them off of the freeway. So,
well, I'm sure this will make that better.
Unrelated issue there. Yeah, right.
So anyway, Chauncey, only 2 miles from the gas station to the on-ramp of the 10 freeway where presumably this happened. So that's not long at all for this victim to call 911, dispatchers to get officers out there, and officers to be able to spot this truck, get behind it, and try to initiate a stop. You probably had an officer that maybe was already in the area, or one that was already on the freeway, or something like that. But even Eagle One, good old Eagle One has been over this the entire time. They're the Fontana PD helicopter now in Sherman Oaks, but even there, I'm looking at where they started following this, and they were over the freeway maybe 2 miles from a mile from where the suspect presumably got on the freeway, so it didn't take long for the helicopter to get there
on
either.
the right side. The left side seems to be
It's true,
okay.
and Desmond, if you can just kind of run us through, where we've been and the slow speeds that we've been going at, but covering quite a bit of distance.
Yeah, we are really just cruising through, several different counties now. We may be headed for our third county, San Bernardino, LA County, and Ventura County if we continue at this clip. We passed a bunch of different freeways. We were on the 10. We've basically been on kind of the same stretch of asphalt the entire time because the suspect has just kind of been sticking to the middle lane, and whatever freeway that happens to, that stretch of concrete happens to take the suspect, that seems to be where they're headed. That went West 10, North 101, and then Northwest 101 into the San Fernando Valley. We'll be coming up to the 405 here pretty shortly, so we have come a lot of distance. But these trucks, and considering that this was taken at a gas station, going this slow, and if the tank was close to full, this truck has got a long distance to go. I mean, they could make it all the way to San Luis Obispo or even further potentially. So we'll just have to see how far that goes. Unfortunately, we would not have enough fuel to do that, but we would take this probably as far as the west end of Ventura, up towards, and once you get north of Ventura there, and unfortunately it's a little bit too dark for us. We'll just have to see how this all plays out, but just kind of looking at the way that this is shaping up right now, well, let's see. Here's the option for the 405, and okay, it looks like we may be making the transition here to either the north or south 405. So let's see what the suspect's next move is going to be. This lane here on the left will take them to either the north or south 405 here, so to West LA or north towards the 5 freeway. We'll see, and we'll see how CHP gets in and coordinates the traffic break with all of this. So, and it's northbound. We are headed northbound 405 towards Van Nuys, Granada Hills, the 118, and the 5 freeway.
Haven't seen here during this chase actually having traffic. Mike Rogers, from the beginning, we talked about with this suspect getting on the freeway, seems like the entire time mostly alone with no traffic, staying right there in the middle lane.
Yeah, and already a kind of different situation there on the 405, and this is the first what seems to be conscious decision he's made to make a lane change, switch freeways, what have you here. The entire time he's been on the 10 forced him onto the 101 because the 10 ended in downtown LA. This is the first time we've actually seen him change lanes and actively choose kind of a different freeway to get onto the 405, now going on to the 405 North.
And Desmond, what are we talking about here when we look ahead as to where this suspect may be going as far as the traffic that we might run into?
Traffic is pretty light up ahead. There's definitely quite a few cars, but considering that they're only going 45 miles an hour, I mean, all of the traffic ahead is going much quicker, so the suspect isn't even really likely to run into any other cars going this direction. Even at this late hour, of course, it is still the 405, so you're still going to see quite a few vehicles out there moving at full speed. So you've got people going 65, he's only going 40, so that's why it looks like they have a wide open empty freeway, and then when you also have CHP holding everybody back. So, this could be another good opportunity for a spike strip with all of that empty asphalt in between, or concrete, I should say, this section of the 405. We'll see if that is in the offing. The 405 connects with the 118, giving us options for Simi Valley to the west or east towards Pacoima and Silmar, or if they continue with the 405, that'll merge onto the northbound 5. And so there is still the possibility that the suspect is going to head towards the Newhall Pass and points farther to the north.
Okay, Desmond Shaw, hi. It's Pat Harvey joining you for the 9 o'clock hour here on KCAL. And as you've been listening to Desmond and Mike talk about this stolen pickup truck pursuit with an armed driver that authorities obviously consider dangerous simply because he is armed. Want to pick up the coverage with where he is exactly right now. Desmond, I think you said 405 north. He transitioned from the 101 freeway, which, as you mentioned, you named a number of options that this driver has at this hour. Doesn't seem to be driving very fast from what I'm seeing here, just getting at the desk here. It seems like he's even driving below the speed limit.
Yep, it has really just been a slow kind of a cruise along here as we are northbound on the 405. This has been the pace all the way from Fontana. So if you've ever wondered how long it takes to get from Fontana to Van Nuys, we have been on this for I think about 40 minutes now on this one. So actually, my pilot Dylan saying getting pretty close to an hour now on this pursuit with the hazard lights. They've been on the entire time. Been kind of one of those strange ones. You know, the character of a pursuit can change at any moment, though. There's times where suspects go really, really slow, and all of a sudden they slam on that gas pedal, and everything changes, you know. Or other times where they're going 100 miles an hour, and then they pull over, and it's over. You just never know what's going to happen from 1 second to the next. But Fontana is saying, we are going to take this as far as we have to take it. I guess, who knows, maybe we'll see who runs, if it's the suspect in the Toyota, or if it's Fontana PD's cruisers that are out here. They do have quite a few. There's at least 6 of them that are in tow with CHP back there running the traffic brake. So we just crossed Sherman Way right now. Northbound 405, the suspect will have another decision to make once they get to the 118 freeway, Pat.
Well, you know what? They certainly have committed quite a bit of law enforcement out there. You're talking about PD and talking about the CHP, and the fact that the CHP is involved because obviously it's on the freeway, but seem like they may be more inclined to do something to try to stop this. And you mentioned that they've done a break, so they're keeping traffic behind. What does it look like ahead, Des?
All right.
It's pretty empty up ahead by virtue of the suspect.
This pursuit had been on for about 30 to 35 minutes since the police started his chase. He was on the northbound 101 freeway the entire time. I can tell you, this suspect was on the run. The police started this chase, still involved with that red truck behind it, the police units. He was driving slow the entire time. He made a transition onto the 405 freeway northbound on the carpool lane near Van Nuys. No traffic involved, being held back by CHP units, doing a great job keeping the traffic away from the pursuit by the CHP units. He doesn't stop. Was the suspect armed carjacking suspect acting like a parade pursuit? Hour-long class cloud police chase. This is like a parade procession heading towards. And you see this pursuit suspect on the northbound 405 freeway carpool lane near Van Nuys. And I can tell you, he was on the run for a while. Wow, all along the 10 freeway, the airspace got away. He got away from it. The CHP, the helicopters got away from it. Carjacking happened right here on Citrus Road, and now the suspect, this pursuit going on for about 40 minutes since the police started this hour-long chase. It started half an hour ago, where in Fontana, next to that gas station in a public place, 6 units behind that truck, zigzagging as they're making loops because of that slow speed chase had been on the entire time at 51 miles an hour. He's almost making it to 60 miles an hour. He's picking up speed, 50 miles an hour. Once again, 3 times now, staying on it. They've seen this again and again, a stolen pickup truck. The driver is armed. They have not put anyone else's in danger. Sometimes they will pull off, or call off for safety reasons. Sometimes they have to fire shots at the truck's tire. They're concerned of that Fontana PD. They're concerned about the suspect. He might hurt himself or anybody. Speeding at 55 miles an hour, almost. Closer to that. Some LA County agencies, they do pick up the pursuit sometimes in Southern California or somewhere else. They do this. They do have that more information. Officers were really good at knowing at any time that he could do this. That they could do this anywhere, anytime to do a spike strip once again, and that he's speeding up again, 65 miles an hour once again. The cruiser is speeding up, getting closer to that truck, slowing down at 35 miles an hour. Kind of maybe if they look like they're adjusting his lights right now. The suspect, they control a pursuit, a mechanism inside, getting a look through a rear compartment. If they might want to see the demeanor of this person, they're waving a gun, sword, something like that, gun or something like that, an object, crossing the 118 freeway. Once again, he's crossing the 118 freeway. He had a chance to get on the 170 and the 5 freeway earlier on. He continues northbound on the 405 freeway, dump out to northbound 5 freeway. That day, the Santa Clarita Valley, listening to a little bit of CHP radio traffic, just about the traffic breaks. They are involved. They are coordinating with the ground units, with communications from radios and the police helicopters. Only the news helicopters listens to radio scanner. They don't use communication radio scanner. It could have interference issues. That will not be good. That will be disappointing. And then we talked about this. The vehicle is too big for a pit maneuver. Like it did a pit maneuver on the truck just long time ago, over a year ago, in Southern California, Anaheim to Orange County, California, speeding at 80 miles an hour, 50, 60 miles an hour on the 57 freeway, the 91 freeway. When they did a merging over a year ago. The suspect was killed by the Anaheim police. Anaheim Fire Department were responding. They tried to save the suspect's life, but it was too late. Well, let's get back to that pursuit. Slow down to at least 20 to 30 miles an hour. I don't think he's running away. He's running away a little bit. Had a hand motion for a moment. The police helicopters following overhead with crossing underneath the 118 freeway, and there's the transition. He could have a chance, and I could tell you right now, they're switching out. And you know what? They're switching out, and I could tell you the units still in pursuit of that truck. And now we could tell you the suspect. Once the suspect gets off the freeway, pulling a set of wheels, I can tell you right now the northbound 5 freeway, he will do that. They have the junction of 5 freeway and 5 to 14 freeway and the new hole pass. Also the 210 if they wanted to double back out of Silmer that day. I could tell you this is what they wanted. The question: Has this driver been driving at the speed limit? I think he has. He was driving slow at 45 miles an hour, picked up speeds at 50 miles an hour earlier on just a few minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, in the 101 freeway, and he's got on the 101 freeway just an hour ago or so, I could tell. I'm assuming. Because the 10 freeway ended, he transitioned onto that 405 freeway. They saw him was to get on the 405 freeway northbound. He was going with the flow of traffic because of that airspace. They have not hit that airspace yet because they have the CHP unit swapping out. He didn't get on the 110 freeway. Thank goodness it could hit into the LAX's Bravo airspace like it did with 2 pursuits that happened almost a year ago, and last night, when I tried to end the live streaming, it was having connection issues. In this pursuit, he's been on the run for about 45 to 50 minutes. He's been on the run for about 45 or 50 minutes. Since the police started this chase. It started 2 hours ago. He's been on the run for at least 2 hours or so. And I can tell you, they know what started with this. Pointed a gun at the victim, was trying to shoot the victim, called the cops, the police got involved. They could say, go, get ahead of the truck, lay down spike strips. They need other agency ahead to put an end to this pursuit, to come in. We're up to 53 minutes. To that, they have the spike strips down.
All right, Chris, I'm looking at is that CHP right behind this vehicle?
CHP right behind that vehicle since before left the downtown area. I could tell you.
That's CHP on the other side right there.
CHP on the other side right there. That makes a big difference. Wow. moving away, moving along, going away, going in front of the pursuit. Thank goodness nobody's getting taunted. I could tell. To enter that northbound 405 freeway, northbound 5 freeway, from northbound 405 through 210 and the 14 freeway, and I heard a fresh carjacking. The CHP officer had heard the dispatcher. That dispatcher is asking, there anyone available with a spike strip, as they're going to get involved. They're going to put an end to this pursuit. The Newhall Pass first. They will justify what happens when it comes to an end, and let's see a conclusion to 210 freeway, 5 freeway northbound split to Newhall Pass. Other option was for 210 freeway. They will see that they're going to be sticking with the northbound 5 freeway. What can be easier for law enforcement? It is a wide stretch of a freeway option for them. Still 40 miles an hour. I could tell you, when they drive slow at normal speeds, they would drive slow at normal speeds, 40, 45, 50, 55 miles an hour. You could cruise along, and then they'll put out a spike strip. When I do the live streaming of police chases, or 44 minutes of police chase videos, when my storage ran out, I figured out a solution to do a live streaming of the hour-long pursuit. And the wide open conditions ahead within the 5 freeway, past that climbing the grapevine, if the darker up there, steep up there, they know the CHP have that choice to do a spike strip. That could be amazing. That could be interesting. The suspect will continue on the northbound 5 freeway, no matter which direction. Seems to be northbound 5 freeway, passing by the 210 freeway ramp. And I can tell you, he'll stay on the northbound 5 freeway if he needs to for a long time. And I can tell you, they cannot go farther because of the darkness for much longer. Night sun operation overhead. CHP ship still. They are able to fly over to that grapevine. It was that night. It was 2-3 years ago on December 7th, 2023. With the night vision equipped, I got the LAPD is when they heard them say something about the night vision. They should have took it over for CHP. They should have handed off to CHP about several hours ago before they jumped overhead. The pursuit of this beginning, avoided a spike strip 3 times or so, I'm assuming. They have the resources on the ground. 2 helicopters, several news helicopters on national television. They had at least 2 on this the entire time. They were on this. They were overhead. They were on their way to the pass. That gets dicey if this continues on and on, making it difficult to fly over it. That's what they can do, especially when there's low cloud visibility. They cannot fly on top of that clouds because they cannot see the pursuit. You might get blinded and you might lose control or crash on the freeway, because that would not be good. All you would have to do is call it a night. For example, you head back to that airport for news helicopters. I know for the fact that the weather conditions had been tough for low cloud visibility in November of December since the beginning of the time of year. Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas or New Year's Day Eve. I could tell you that, but we could tell. Put out to CBS LA lady, working there for several years. That's a transmission problem for that, and I can tell you we're back on now. Wow. Slowing down at 25, 26, 27 miles an hour. And you have to switch the transmitter once again. You have to, when you get to that mountain, switch hilltops mountains. Microwave signals. Use the camera to see to zoom in if that one occupant inside that car. I can tell you that right now. Then the 14 freeway coming up. You see, they're in an elevated carpool lane, and until they get past that 14 freeway, the suspect sticking with the northbound 5 freeway. And I would say that right now, all I can tell you is it is trending like, unless something changes, there's serious changes going on there, that the suspect can take this running truck to empty, wearing any movement in the next few minutes or so. In the next 5 or 10 minutes, that they're headed to the grapevine, towards the grapevines, and the CHP in a position to they run breaks like this to make sure nobody's involved. Thank goodness, doing a great job staying behind that pursuit, staying behind that police officers, because the California law enforcement, they are sworn at a state level, certain hierarchy, the eargate, influential state. But what he's doing right now is to go ahead, is the air traffic control, lots of air traffic, and they can the Fontana Police Department can make the arrest and bring out K9 dogs, K9 units out there. If that's the case, that will be a necessary state. All I can say.
Because we've seen where they can change out on any.
And make a change. Serious changes around here, going on around here.
As far as California is concerned, so it doesn't matter where he goes. If they want, CHP wants to get involved.
If CHP wants to get involved, along with the Fontana PD teaming up, and I could tell you, airplanes coming, landing, traffic control airplanes. Wow, they're not going into any airspace. Thank goodness. They're at least 40 miles an hour. They're overhead. I gotta put the pen in close.
Okay, Desmond, I keep looking at all of these vehicles behind.
And all of these vehicles behind. Wow! 6 to 10 units! 11 to 12 units behind, holding traffic back, cruising along at a normal speed. Wow, making a difference in terms of what they do. To bring it to an end, to do this, comes to a halt, and what we can do is to bring it to a halt and put an end to this with a GPS start or a spike strip. Spike strip could be an option. Spike strip could be an option. I can tell you right now, they're doing a spike strip right now. They're going to stop the arrest from taking place. They're going to arrest the suspect, let them do their job, and let them do their thing to put an end to this pursuit. And let things be good things, be seriously things about the pursuit coming to an end. Quite a few that ourselves and themselves that ended the pursuit, they heard of the others. What we can tell you is after they lost visual of that, they can make it to Castic Lake, then the 5 freeway, they will watch it to the ride until it comes to an end. And their news helicopters are not equipped with night vision technologies. Only the police helicopters are. It would not be safe for them. It would be safe for the news helicopters. And I can tell you, it's windy up there, and it could be. They'll see if the CHP will continue. They have been getting knocked around a bit in the Newhall Pass. A little bit. Santa Clarita Valley, that will continue on. They tilted up to show you the trail of traffic and the frustration that the suspect had left, going slowly all the way, almost at 50 miles an hour. The traffic, how is this the reason? Now, this is the reason the suspect coming out of the Fontana, coming out of the downtown LA area, they've covered this a lot. They would say 5 to 10% as far as distances that has been covered by a suspect. Just considering this logistics, this came from a gas station. They don't know how much the gas was in the tank, the pump, all the way by the time they got overhead, 50 miles an hour, decent amount of gas. Just to make it, they have been going at least 30 to 50 miles an hour. I could tell you earlier on, just several hours ago, before they jumped overhead, The victim was pumping at a gas station. Called the cops. He called the police. Walk up to that victim at gunpoint. And now, good news. No shots were fired. The victim not injured, and the suspect hopped in, took off. Quick responding officers did what they can they acted fast. They did a good job. They did their part, and I can tell you, they did point out a weapon, right? And the Fontana police, if there was something where they ran a license plate, they pull a vehicle over, they catch robbery suspects or bad guys, they catch robbery suspects in the hot pursuit at 85 miles an hour on an hour-long chase. They go away, they be on a class clown pursuit parade. And that could go on for several hours. They would deflate the tires and put an end to this pursuit, have the SWAT or Bearcat trucks come in, or, at least he has not stopped at another gas station like he did several hours ago, 2 hours ago. And he's on a full tank. They cannot get where they want to go until it comes to an end, until this clears off. Until this is cleared. They're backed up by CHP units. And I want to say that suggests that they may do more aggressive moves if they have to stop the suspect. And that they seem to be willing to have some sort of powerful human strength. To their point, what freeway they would like better. The 5 freeway, once they get into the mountains, that reduces to 2 or 3 more lanes. That makes it easier for the spike strip. Normally, it would be safe to do so. It would be possible and okay to be doing it. 4 lanes to Central Valley. There is construction there. Maybe it stretches where it goes on. And I could say that could be very difficult to be held back because of that mountains, not like the airspace restrictions. It could be held back because of that mountains. They cannot follow through much longer. And when I could tell you what they basically CHP, they've been dealing it 6 or 8 lanes at the 5 freeway northbound 405 freeway. They've been dealing it with a lot of successful spikes on this, on and on. This went on for several hours. 60 minutes now, 55 to 60 minutes. The pursuit has been going on more than an hour. If anyone has a spike, they're reaching out to Bakersfield, and the way Bakersfield police. So the way they are gonna do it, CHP office works where they are on a Newhall office of CHP. They will carry them onto the Kern County line. If the dispatch or TAN frequency cannot find anyone with a spike strip, now they cross the county line. They go to Kern County CHP. Our officer do this what they could do is to see those units have one of the setups that they did. Keeps going in circles and circles. They cut circles around, speeding at 53 miles an hour. CHP office as it goes near 138 freeway. If they don't have one unit, they don't have it. They wait for a CHP in Kern County. I can tell you what the repose of any of that. Let's listen now.
That have to drive back to Fontana. I was just spying on the Fontana police helicopter. I assume they ran out of fuel because they actually landed at LAPD's helipad at Van Nuys Airport. So that looks like they're probably going to get fuel there. It's right next to where Desmond lands as well. So the Fontana PD ship's now down at Van Nuys Airport.
Okay, look at this. I don't know if that's significant here, but I thought they were speeding up again to try to get closer to this truck.
Yeah, go ahead, Des.
Well, we are getting almost, we were very close to the speed limit there for, I think we touched 65 there for about a second, which was, the fastest speed that we've seen so far. But now kind of back down to 45 or 50 miles an hour on this one. So, the thing is, too, if Fontana doesn't have the night vision goggles, they weren't going to be able to continue up ahead on this one anyway. We'll see, if CHP decides that they will be able to, fuel dependent. Because they're obviously going to have to take that into account, that wherever they go, they're going to have to leave enough fuel for them to fly back to wherever they can land to get fuel. So they're probably calculating that if they have enough fuel to get to Bakersfield, or if they need to turn around and get fuel now, if that's going to be how they continue with this one. So speed's way back down again. Oh, look at this. Hey, we've got a flat tire.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Now it's
Just
wow.
like that. Just
They did-
as it
they
was
did a
about
spot strip.
just as we were about to go into the void, all of a sudden, at pretty much the last moment that we had a chance to keep eyes on this, the suspect got a flat tire. I didn't see any spike strip.
there he
Look at
is.
that. You know what? Now I'm hearing him talk about, I think there was a spike strip apparently at some point. And just like that, I didn't think we were going to be able to get the end of this one, and it looks like we are.
Well, good. They're tired.
They must have snuck that spike
Yeah.
in, Des. I didn't see that at all.
No, I didn't either. Didn't see him attempt to avoid anything. Obviously, the suspect didn't see it either, so they fooled all of us on that one. Here you see the canine that is ready, that is all amped up in the event that the suspect tries anything like running off or any kind of sudden dangerous maneuvers. I have a feeling that the dog will definitely dissuade the suspect from doing that. You can see it is pretty breezy out here. You see his T-shirt kind of fluttering there in the wind. But northbound 5 here, right by Magic Mountain Parkway, is where it looks like this should be coming to a peaceful conclusion.
You know something? We didn't see it. And as you mentioned, Des, that you didn't see it either. I'm wondering.
Oh,
no.
boy, wow, that changed quickly. Well, I don't know what happened there. It looked like CHP didn't like whatever he was trying to do there, and it looks like that's the leash of the canine. I thought maybe that was a spike strip, but boy, he just got a couple of nasty bites there and a pretty tough trip to the pavement. Just trying something really quick that Fontana PD was not happy with.
And we couldn't see what that was either. So there's been quite a bit that's going on in the last 10 minutes or so. I'm just wondering when that spike strip could have been placed, because that tire just seemed to go out pretty quickly, if that's the case. You know, sometimes we see them drive for a little bit a longer distance after they've thrown down a spike strip, but for us not to see it,
Yeah.
and then that to happen when it did.
I wonder if they went over a number of underpasses over the 14 and, in
So
that
maybe it
area.
happened
I
there.
wonder if it happened there.
We're not gonna care.
I was just playing back the moment that the dog went after him. Oh, that's what happened. So he had his hands up, he was complying, and then all of a sudden he started to turn around. And as soon as the suspect made that turn, they let the dog go instantly. They were not giving him any time to rethink that decision.
Okay, so guys,
Yeah.
obviously they did not tell him to turn around. They,
No,
they just
he
said, keep
looked-
walking backwards.
The suspect looked almost like he turned around and yelled something at the officers, is what it looked like. So that was enough for Fontana PD not to like that and let the canine go, who, by the way, has also been on the chase this entire time.
So yeah, so the canine is also tired.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well,
Wow.
okay, well, Desmond, you want to call this code 4?
Calling it a
Yeah,
code,
this is, officially
code
code
4.
for the,
This pursuit came to an end. I get that fact. It was on and on for several hours. 5 freeway to northbound, 405 freeway northbound, 101, 101 freeway northbound, westbound, 10 freeway, jumped overhead, came to an end. Several times he avoided a spike strip, taken into police custody, and in jail, and our CHP units and the Fontana PDs put an end to this. They put an end to this, and now it came to an end. This pursuit comes to an end. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your afternoon. See you guys later. Bye.